Have you ever heard anything as ridiculous as Europe's busiest airport being shut down for an entire day because of a fire at a substation? Not just half an hour or so, but an entire freaking day. At least it wasn't a battery storage system that went up in flames, as I initially thought it could be. But such is the fragility of the UK's electricity grid that just one outage of a substation is enough to disable the UK's major airport for 24 hours. Where was the backup? Where was the redundancy? There are reports that diesel generators that were previously used for such purposes had been decommissioned and replaced with a biomass generator which could only power certain functions at the airport as long as the grid was still working in parallel. I wonder why those diesel generators were decommissioned in the first place. Can you think? Was it a result of the insane push for net zero at all costs that insisted that we abandon fossil fuels for these essential functions? This is a scandalous failure, and when other reports suggest that it might be the result of an intentional act from a foreign power, yet another example of how the only thing that can guarantee national security is energy security. Welcome back to MGUY, British engineer and lawyer, now Sydney-based YouTuber. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like and let me know what you think by leaving a comment. And if you want to keep informed about all this EV and net zero insanity that we're suffering at the moment, click that subscribe button down below and enable all notifications so you don't miss out on any future videos. And if you'd like to help support this channel, why not buy me a coffee? Click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. The Telegraph has reported this comprehensively, as we'll see in this video. Heathrow accused of colossal failure over fire shutdown. Airline chiefs have accused Heathrow of clear failure after Europe's busiest airport was shut down by a fire in a single electricity substation. The airport closed for nearly 24 hours on Friday in an unprecedented move that left about 200,000 passengers stranded across the globe, with counter-terrorism police brought in to investigate the source of the fire. The first flights resumed on Friday night, but airlines have warned the public to expect days of disruption. Questions are mounting over why there was not an effective backup power supply to prevent Heathrow closing. The incident has also led to wider concerns about Britain's energy security and the power supply to critical national infrastructure amid fears it could be targeted by Russia or terrorists. Sir Gavin Williamson, the Tory former Defence Secretary, said, "This is a colossal failure of Heathrow Airport. They have failed to build in the resilience that is required to ensure this level of disruption does not happen." Heathrow, which is owned by a consortium of foreign investors, including a French private equity firm, Saudi Arabia and Qatar, has been accused of underinvestment over a decade in which it has been fighting for airport expansion. Those plans have included proposals to build a dedicated power station. Well, that would have been a good idea. And of course, Wallace from Wallace and Gromit features heavily. Ed Miliband, the Energy Secretary, is among those who have opposed the expansion of Heathrow, with the rows over a third runway feared to have prevented wider modernisation at the airport. Other airports around the world have taken steps to diversify their electrical supplies. Amsterdam Schiphol announced in 2023 that it was building a new high-voltage substation. Similarly, New York's JFK Airport recently commissioned a 110-megawatt gas-fired electricity generation plant on site. And I bet you can't guess the real reason for why the fire happened in the first place. Industry has previously warned of the risk of blackouts because of a lack of resilience in the power network, partly as a result of the switch to net zero, which Mr. Miliband has championed. The substation involved in the Heathrow fire, the North Hyde electrical substation, is running over capacity, an issue caused to some extent by the shutting down of coal-fired power stations near London. Yeah, well, who cares about keeping our main airport open when we're saving the planet, Ed? The Telegraph has more on this subject as politicians start to put two and two together. Heathrow forced to shut down because of net zero. Airport bosses face accusations that backup power supply failed after they replaced diesel generator with biomass version. Heathrow is facing accusations that it was forced to shut down because it replaced its diesel generator with a net zero compliant biomass alternative. Yay! More than 1,300 flights to and from the UK's busiest airport were cancelled or turned away after it was forced to close following a fire that knocked out an electricity substation. Richard Tice, the deputy leader of Reform UK, said he had been told by an industry expert that the airport changed its backup systems from a diesel generator to an environmentally friendly biomass version. He said the biomass generator appeared to have failed because it was designed only to work alongside the national grid and not independently if the grid was shut off. The T2 Energy Centre at Heathrow, which opened in 2012, heats Terminals 2 and 5 using 25,000 tonnes of wood chips per year, sourced from sustainable forests in the UK. Yay! Having spoken to an industry expert, it appears that Heathrow has changed its backup systems in order for it to be net zero compliant. Basically, their net zero compliant backup system had completely failed in its core function at the first time of asking. It beggars belief. Speaking to the Telegraph, Mr. Tice said, "Why is Heathrow being so silent about this? Are they embarrassed because they have something to hide? Is it because their net zero backup failed at the first time of asking, and they daren't admit it? It just shows the lunacy of net stupid zero." Bravo, Richard Tice, for having the guts to say this in the current climate of net zero insanity. And when we don't have reliable energy, we don't have reliable national security either. Britain has just revealed it is sickeningly vulnerable to sabotage. Telegram has become a recruiting tool for acts of destruction, and we need to step up our resilience. Telegram, the Russian-speaking world's favourite social media channel, has done more than just show drone footage in Ukraine and fuel explosions around Moscow. It has become a recruiting tool for Kremlin agents to commit acts of sabotage. Over the past few years, adverts promising to pay petty criminals to attack sites around Europe have sprung up, and some have even responded. It's not clear how many have accepted. In the UK, there have already been a few arrests under the new National Security Act, including one in 2024 for helping Russia. Sabotage as a service is not new, and it's far too soon to tell what's happened at Heathrow. But while the Counter-Terrorism Police, CTP, are doing their work, we need to ensure UK resilience is defended. We have a highly efficient economy. Just-in-time deliveries and lean supply chains mean few stockpiles. That makes goods cheaper, but it makes us all more vulnerable to disruption. Without spare capacity, what do you do when things go wrong? That's what we're seeing today. Without the substation and the backup generator, the closure of one of the world's busiest airports is costing us all. Heathrow itself pays tax, but every passenger and every airline keeps our economy going. And none of that includes the knock-on costs of business not done and losses abroad. We need to price resilience properly. Now we know the potential cost. Yes, absolutely, and that resilience means having reliable, cheap energy, not dependent on the weather, but baseload generation, be that fossil fuel or nuclear. Not only is the insanity of net zero making electricity so expensive, it's becoming almost a luxury item for some people, but it's putting the very security of vital infrastructure at great risk. This madness just has to stop.